Hi, I'm Karen MacNeil, and this is WineSpeed.com's People to Know, insider interviews with the most fascinating and important people in the wine business. And today we're here with Geneviève Janssens, who is the Chief Winemaker of Robert Mondavi Winery, as well as the winemaker and co-owner of her own brand, Portfolio Limited Edition. Geneviève, we're happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So you've said in the past that as a person who grew up in France, you might never have been given the opportunity to work with two prestigious people, Baron Philippe de Rothschild and Robert Mondavi, if you had remained in France, that it was, in a sense, Napa Valley, California, that gave you this opportunity. Do you still feel that way? Because I know you said that quite some time ago.
I feel that the reason why I decided to leave France and the wine world in France at that time, it's because I would have been in white coat in a lab and not in the field or at the winery or having some responsibilities. When I came here as a tourist to learn more about winemaking, and when I went to Robert Mondavi Winery, I saw a totally different world, and that world attracted me quite a lot.
Yeah. It is true, isn't it, that a lot of women get kind of brushed aside and put in the lab and never allowed to really touch wine and really make the wine.
At that time, for sure. I cannot talk now because things have changed quite a lot, evolving a lot. But at the time where I got my diploma, I was in the lab for 4 years, I think, 3 to 4 years, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, do you remember the first glass of wine you ever had and who gave it to you?
I remember very vividly my dad, because in fact it was not a glass of wine, it was a trick that my dad was giving to his kids. He had 6 kids, and he was always pouring quite often, just to make us the table very joyful, a glass of water, and he was taking a knife, and the water needed to be very high in the glass, and then slowly he was putting the wine along the knife, and so we had a ring of wine on the top. It was really pretty. Oh. So because the wine has a lighter density than so it was on the surface, and the trick for the kids was to just take the ring and not mix with water. So that was, and I was very young, but that was it. That I didn't drink wine, but that trick, yes, of course.
Oh my God, that's very funny. Now, when you came to California in the 1970s, that was in many ways a phenomenal decade for California and Napa Valley in particular. What do you remember most about winemaking at that time? What impressed you?
I think because I was lucky to be at Robert Mondavi Winery, so my knowledge is really Robert Mondavi Winery. I was totally impressed to have seen so many new things in the winemaking under one roof, under one winery, in the vineyard and at the winery. Mr. Mondavi was so proactive, traveling in Europe, bringing everything he knew from different regions to do it under one winery, his winery. So definitely that was pretty intense, because his goal was to put Napa Valley and his winery on the top of the other wineries. And so that's where I thought it was just like a kid going to a beautiful toy shop, and I could do everything. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
That's pretty fascinating.
How did it come to pass that he hired you?
It's not him who hired me. I didn't know him. It is Zelma Long who did it, because because I came just like a tourist and an enologist to learn more, I was so fascinated by his philosophy. Then I said, may I talk to the winemaker? And the director of winemaking was Zelma, and she came and we chat for an hour. And then I joked and I said, if you have something for me, I come back. And she did. And I came back.
Now that was really, speaking of Zelma, that's very incredible, because Zelma Long was then the director of winemaking. She was a young woman. She was the second woman to ever go through UC Davis Viticulture and Enology School. And was it surprising to you as a French woman to to come to Robert Mondavi Winery and find a woman in charge?
Totally, and mainly totally surprised. And the director of winemaking was spending the time to talk to me, to nobody from anywhere in the world. I thought it was absolutely spectacular, and I think it gave me so much energy, saying people understand here, and so yeah, I was shocked and happily shocked.
I bet you were. Now, your own relatively new company, Portfolio, is a very small winery. You own it with your husband. And it's a very personal family winery. And that's very different than being the chief winemaker for Mondavi. You really see the two bookends, one a tiny family company and the other a corporate winery. How does that feel to do two such opposing ideas or different ideas?
Yeah, I think I am enjoying both sides, and I am enjoying Portfolio because in fact it is just us, and very simple winemaking, no tools, just gravity.
No tools?
Not very little tools, yeah. The big tool is a forklift, just to use everything by gravity. So we bring the barrels on the top with a forklift, and we rack by gravity, we bottle by gravity. And so simple. And I like that simplicity because, in fact, when you make wine, and you can afford it, and Portfolio can afford it, it's the true expression of the vineyard, of the vintage, and very little intervention of the winemaker. And I adore that. I think it's great. I don't think you could do that at a big level, but at that level, it's wonderful.
Tell us about the wine itself, because I think a lot of people have not yet had the opportunity to taste it. It's a Cabernet, right?
It's a Cabernet and with 20% of Cabernet Franc. And the Cabernet Sauvignon is coming from George Henry Ranch, and the Cabernet Franc is coming from the Dider East in Oakville. So two unbelievable vineyards, and it's pretty strong tannin. It's a bold wine, very muscles, but in the same time, because it's a gentle winemaking. It is very soft and sweet, but powerful. And of course, the barrels are doing such a fantastic job. So it's 100% new French oak. And 24 months in barrels just to make the tannin a little bit as soft as possible.
Yeah. Now, as chief winemaker for Mondavi, I'm sure you don't have an enormous amount of time on your hands. Why do your own winery at this stage in your life? You're already recognized as a very famous winemaker in a way. Did you need to do this project?
I have done that for 20 years. Portfolio is 20 years old. So I have done that a long time ago. And I do that for my own satisfaction, and it's a sort of hobby. A lot of people are asking me, what is your hobby? I say, making wine. And definitely I can make wine 24 hours a day for 7 days, and I'm still happy. It's not work for me. It's pleasure.
Yeah. That's, we should all be that lucky. I feel that way, actually, about writing, so I understand. Now, I know that you've often described how Americans talk about wine as, we use a lot of metaphor. We talk about fruits and flowers. We say this wine tastes like cherries, this wine tastes like blueberries, whatever. And that you think about wine structurally. You think about where it is on the palate. You think about body, structure. Do you think that's a cultural difference, or do you think that's a winemaker as opposed to a consumer?
I think it's my education in Bordeaux. I was taught to taste by Émile Pénaud, and that's how he was describing his wine. That was the way he was asking us to build blends by thinking like it's a house. So you need to put your concrete slab and you build, and so it's all materials. And so that's why I always think start by a strong base, and I don't think about the fruit at all. The fruit comes with the quality of the wine, so it's much up before blending. So you have to think about fruit and structure in the vineyard, and then when blending, I think about doing very strong center, and then Émile Peynaud told us that we have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and never give up that. So I work the blends until I have a strong entry, strong middle, strong end. So it's all almost mathematical, but at the same time it's very impossible to describe because it's in the palate.
Yes. Wow, Émile Peynaud. Émile Peynaud, one of the absolute great winemakers of the 20th century. That must have been incredible.
Pretty much, yes. I was lucky to have Émile Peynaud, Jean Ribéreau-Gaillon, and Pascal Ribéreau-Gaillon. So the three professors who started the modern enology.
Yes.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yes, these are the three great men of Bordeaux historically. Yeah. Wow, phenomenal. Well, a last question, and that is, what personal trait, what characteristic do you believe you possess that has allowed you to be so successful and to thrive so well in California?
That's a difficult question, but I would say team building. I like people, and I'm passionate about wine, and the wine cannot be done by one person. The wine starts in the vineyard, so you need to build the team as a unit. So from the vineyard to the winery to bottling, this is just one. And that's, I think, I always included everybody in the vision of Mr. Mondavi. And so I think I will say that it's team, building a team together with the same vision, Mr. Mondavi. Excellent.
Well, thank you, Geneviève. And our complete interview with Geneviève Janssens will appear in the winespeed.com's People to Know page. I know you'll really want to read it.